Hello, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Tribe of Visionaries. My name is Jason Mara, joined by my co-host Paul Birmingham, and we have some very special guests with us today. We are joined by Dakota Hendrix and Josh Sobczak, founders of Holy City Mobile Homes. These guys are transforming the mobile home industry in South Carolina from buying and selling to launching their site trailerhomeleads.com, and they're brokering mobile home transportation. These guys bring unique insights into improving systems, educating sellers, and building sustainable business models. So let's get at it. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys today. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Lovely, lovely. Josh, you there with us?
Yeah, excited to be here. Thank you so much for having Dakota and I.
Awesome. So I guess let's get into it. You guys are into mobile homes. How long have you been in this industry, and how'd you guys get into the mobile home game?
Yes, I guess I'll start. I always wanted to look for something other than my day job to do. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I actually started looking at Amazon, like fulfilled by Amazon stuff, and I started tinkering. I learned how to use this application called Tinkercad. I built like a 3D dog bag holder, and my goal was to 3D print it and then start selling it. But then after looking into like molding costs, it cost about 50 grand to sell that. I was like, well, it doesn't even seem very competitive. I kind of threw that idea away. Listening to Bigger Pockets podcast, I found my now mentor, John Fedro, and I was like, there's a lot of mobile homes in South Carolina. I looked up John's YouTube videos, and I was like, I think I want this guy to mentor me. Very skeptical, so I didn't want to spend my money out of my pocket. I had gotten to car flipping a lot, so I was like, well, let me just like flip one more car. I don't really want to do this anymore, and I'll use those profits to pay for his mentoring. So I did that, and I brought Josh on board in 2023, I think. Started Holy City Mobile Homes in 2022. Josh quit his day job and joined me full time doing this. I still am in my 9 to 5, but planning on hopefully getting out soon. And then John and I, we own a mobile home park together, and we've been just fixing and flipping mobile homes for the past 3 years. Yeah, 3 years.
Okay. And so, Josh, were you in real estate before, or did you kind of get brought in through Dakota?
I was in real estate a little bit back when I was studying college in Denver. I also stumbled across Bigger Pockets, and that was kind of how I got my my feet wet with real estate. I knew from a young age, about like 18 or 19, that I always wanted to be involved in some way in real estate. I didn't really figure out what that would look like until kind of when I graduated. I was about 22 years old or so, and I had bought my first rental property. And from that moment on, I was kind of hooked. I knew I wanted to be in real estate in some shape or form. I've pretty much been in sales my entire career post college graduation. So I actually started out working in software sales for a tech company based out of Charleston. Did that for about a year or so. The pandemic hit. At that point, I kind of pivoted and ended up doing sales for a limo and party bus company here in Charleston, which was a lot of fun. And then after about a year of doing that, and kind of talking with Dakota on the side about how he was involved in the mobile home space, I just finally decided to make the leap and jump on board with him with Holy City Mobile Homes. And I mean, it's pretty much been a dream ever since then. It's awesome. We have a lot of fun.
What did they call that back in the pandemic? Was it the critical workers? Who was it who was allowed to go back to work first? I think it was critical workers, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, essential workers or
Party bus and limos were the essential workers. I like it.
Absolutely essential.
That. I love it. Awesome.
So, did you ever drive the party buses, or were you just doing booking tours and stuff?
I wish. I don't have any of the the CDLs that you need to drive them, so I was just kind of doing the sales and marketing side. But I'm sure driving those beasts would be a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I drove one of those probably like 25 years ago for a little bit. And I had some interesting late night stories from that one.
Oh, I can imagine.
I get to see the aftermath in the Airbnbs. I'm sure it's not pretty.
So what, I guess, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing within mobile homes and what's your business model there? How are you guys, working that? Are you buying, flipping? What all do you have going on there?
Yeah, so our primary lead generation is through our website. We do a little bit of bandit signs, but not much. I think I put in like the follow up or the response to some of your questions, like what are you passionate about? I think the biggest thing I'm passionate about is like having the sellers come to you. So I kind of based my whole business model off of that, because if you're working with a 9 to 5 job and if you have a family or anything that kind of takes time away from your day, you don't want to spend your time sending out postcards, cold calling, door knocking, doing any of like the traditional stuff that you would normally do to get leads. So
I'll pause you right there. Every realtor ever, listen to what he's about to say. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be gold. Please go ahead.
Josh and we invest a lot of money into our website, and I've actually had conversations with realtors about this topic, because a lot of them rely on just connections through the brokerages, in my opinion, I don't know why they don't do this. Probably because it costs a lot of money. But I've told them you should build a parallel infrastructure to like what you're in right now. So one of the guys I was talking to, he left his mechanical engineering job to be a realtor, and I said because he wanted to be like free, right? And I said, well, you still want to, like, if you want to get out of that 9 to 5, you still have to like have a method of bringing in business if you want to be truly on your own, right? And the way you do that is building connections on the brokerage side, but you also need something on your own. You need to build like your own presence, like a real good website that will bring in these motivated seller leads. And you never want to like waste your time doing all of these things that are just a time suck. Like nobody wants to door knock. And if you're making 30 grand a month, you shouldn't have to go out to door knock. You should just have those sellers come to you. And Paul is actually, we just got a lead in our website. We partnered with Paul. He had preferred lending status with Rehab Wallet. So we used his lenders to get us money for a job that he's essentially project managing. And all we did was we negotiated the sellers down from a lead that came into our website, and we're going to hopefully make quite a bit of money on it.
So when you say you're putting a lot of money into your website, are you doing like PPC ads, or what are you doing? Are you working on, optimization, SEO for your site? Where's the bulk of your money going into for a return?
Yeah, so I don't like PPC. I mean, it's not bad, but I always like the search engine optimization side. I've gotten pretty good at it myself, so I can save some money. Where it really comes in, where we're spending the money, is backlinking. So there's a few companies out there that will do backlinking, but also we have an analytics guy who also does SEO specific to the real estate industry, and he's going down through our website and like cutting pages that like Google is not indexing. So like he'll be like, Google's not indexing this. It's just kind of like, and it's actually hurting your site because you have a competing page in the same area. Maybe we'll have like a county page and a city page, and like our city page is like competing with the same county pages. Like you kind of want one or the other. You want to either be ranking in the city or the county. and these pages are actually hurting each other. So what he does is like he'll take that one out, and he streamlines our website. I had made that website when I was very, very new, the Holy City Mobile Homes website. So there was a lot of mistakes I made. It was still bringing in leads, but what I needed to do was to get it optimized, and that's what we're doing now. So after the optimization is done, we're on our last month. He'll just be putting on backlinks for us. I'm not sure. Are you guys familiar with what backlinking does?
I'll tell you right now, I am not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with backlinking.
Okay.
Especially, I mean, we do Amazon e-commerce stuff as well. So my business partner, he's always trying to figure out workarounds with Google and all that. And then
I am too, but for the people at home, please explain that.
Okay, so backlinking is every site has what's called domain authority, right? What you want is domain authority ranges from 0 to 100. So what you ideally want is high domain authority websites linking to your site as like a referral. So there's two types of referrals you can get, or there's three types, but I'm only really familiar with two. There's a follow and a non-follow, right? So on these follow links, that website with high domain authority is say, hey, Google, follow this link to this other website and give them credit from my high domain authority page to boost their page up.
Wow.
So when you're paying for backlinks, you really, really have to be careful with who you choose to put your backlinks on your website, because bad backlinks can negatively hurt your search engine optimization. So if you're putting like, if you pay somebody, let's say from Fiverr, to put 500 backlinks on your website per month, you're probably tanking your SEO because they're putting you on cooking blogs, they're putting you on Pilates websites. Like it's not good. So what you really want is ideally the higher the domain and the more high domain authority websites you get referred to your website is good, but you don't need 500 websites with low domain scores referring to your website, because that's just going to hurt your SEO. So that's one of our primary strategies with our website. Another one is blogging. So blogging really helps bring in the masses, and you might not attract your ideal audience, like that motivated seller. But what the blogs do is it creates a community around your website, and it increases the general flow of traffic to your website. So you're going to have a lot more people going to your website, and Google looks at that and says, okay, this guy's got a lot more traffic. Let's elevate his ranking on the SEO side. So you're like ranking higher and higher just based on traffic, right? And there's different strategies you can go into with that, not just like blogging and leaving it out there for the whole web. You want to like connect your blogs to like your city pages or your state pages. And then there's another strategy with like Pinterest you can go into. So you start a Pinterest board, you put your blogs there, you pin other people's stuff, and then they go back to your profile because they're like, I really like this content. They click on your website that you have in there. And then again, maybe it's not your ideal lead that comes to your website, but it's still increasing that traffic.
Nice.
And so you guys have a company you've hired for this, or an individual, or?
So I do now after I've learned for the past 4 years, I do all the website building. I needed help on the very technical aspects of holycitymobilehomes.com. But with our moving website, I created that over the summer, and we're bringing in about 100, probably around 200 leads per month nationwide with that website. And that website, I just had him putting backlinks on it, not necessarily building the site structure.
So you guys are in pretty much all markets, or do you have a focus market?
So for investing, we're in like primarily South Carolina. Once we're done getting this brokerage off the ground, there is a plan to be able to go out towards all of the U.S. and the investing markets. But right now we just want to be in South Carolina for investing. For our brokerage, we can broker where we have individuals that can move mobile homes. So like in Florida, we've got 3 mobile home movers that we are part of our brokerage. Like we have brokerage agreements with. So what we do is we get a lead in Florida that comes in, and then we can quote that lead, run it by our mover. Let's say it's over in Jacksonville. He says, yep, that looks good. We go under contract with the person that needs their mobile home moved. We collect a down payment. We pay the down payment out to the mover that he requires. Once the mover pulls the mobile home onto the lot, we collect the second half of the down payment. And then we pay the mover out so he can finish the job. And then once the job is done, we say, good job, everybody gets paid.
Nice.
And are the movers doing setup for you as well, or no?
Yeah, so that's the tricky thing. They are. We don't have any. So in the mobile home moving industry, you'll have 3 types of people. You'll have transport only, setup only, or you'll have the combo. What we want is the combo, because those are the people that you can contract with to do everything, and it also lowers cost that way. But yeah, so I guess that's the answer to that question.
Just curious, what is the availability for those kind of companies? Like it just seems to me like there might be a need in the industry for that, and like an opportunity for another investor who wanted to be an operator and do the setup and the move. Would that be something that would be, you say, is high supply or low demand, or what is the answer to that?
It depends on what region of the country you're talking about. It also depends on seasonality. So you're talking about like an investor that might buy something, move it, and then set it up as well. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
So everything comes down to time, because if you want to have a truck for internal use, you're going to be paying insurance on it. So that's $3-4 a month. And then if you're going to be doing it, if you want to make it worth your while, you're going to have to also pay for additional general liability insurance and cargo insurance. So it really comes down to like finding what you can focus on and asking yourself whether or not it's just worth it to, have the truck because I'm going to keep it super busy, or have the truck and let it sit there and pay insurance on it all the time. So or you could easily pay somebody to do it for like $3 to $4.
Okay.
Josh, you've been quiet. Sorry, I've been talking a lot.
No, it's all good, man. I love when you get technical.
No, it's very interesting. So your actual mobile home investment, you're focused in South Carolina, and then you're growing this distribution network for moving them. And is that where the primary end goal is to be into the data industry as far as being able to, I guess, franchise out to those different mobile home movers?
Yeah. So what we're doing is, I don't think anybody's done this before, but are any of you guys in the trucking industry?
No, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay. You know what a load board is?
Yes.
So we're in mid-February. We should be done with development, but we are building a CRM that's connected to a load board. So when leads come in, they like cycle into our CRM, and then on our load board side, on our CRM, we get them, we quote them, or we follow up, right? And then after we quote them, they accept. We put them under contract. After we put them under contract, we collect a down payment, and then we post it to our load board as a contract opportunity. So once it goes to the load board, anybody we have brokerage agreements with in that state gets a text to their phone. It says, hey, there's a new opportunity in Florida for you to bid on. They can open that up, and they fill out 2 fields after they look at the details and everything. What do they want to bid, and when can they start the work? So the reason we can do that is because like we vet the people that use our system. So like I'm not really worried about Joe Schmo who doesn't have insurance, or has one truck that's broken half the time, bidding on a contract. Like I'm gonna know if somebody comes into our system and tries to bid on a contract because like we keep it notifies us every time that happens. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a new new field. I don't think really anybody's doing it, but it leads into like why can we do this? And I think the answer is because unlike traditional freight brokers that move like 1,000 glass bottles from St. Louis, Missouri to Pensacola, Florida, there's a lot of intricate details when it comes to mobile homes. So we have like a 60 line item pricing sheet that we go through and say, what services do you need? With shipping glass bottles, it's like you load it up onto a truck and it goes from point A to point B. Okay, unload the truck. Now everybody gets paid. With mobile homes, you have to ask, are we tearing down any structures that are attached to the home? If so, what structures and how big are they? Are there axles underneath the home? Is the tongue still on the home? Is it rotted out? Does it need to be replaced? How far are we transporting it? When we drop it off, do we have to clear anything? Are we clearing the land? Are we prepping a lot? Are we doing the full gamut service, putting on side skirting, putting on extra steps? So like as being in the mobile home industry for a few years prior to getting into this has really helped because you see everything that's required of moving a home. And now that we know everything that's required of moving a home, it's like, okay, we can hire somebody else to do this for somebody else. But I think that's why a lot of brokers haven't gotten into this industry because they just don't know what's required to actually moving a home. They can coordinate the transportation. Most people don't want transportation only. They want transportation and installation. And that's kind of where we, I think, make our money.
A lot of times I think people are interested in getting into it. They just don't even know where to begin. I mean, I know like I've got a partner that I've done some stuff with here in Myrtle Beach, and we've talked about getting into mobile homes, either buying them, used and starting a mobile home community, buying a tract of land, moving them in there, but we don't even know how to begin. And I notice, some of the things that you were talking about and your write-up earlier, you were talking about the scams that are out there. How would I, as an investor, know where to begin and kind of what to look out for within doing that? And how do I know I'm not getting ripped off on the prices that they're quoting based on, say I'm in a local area like in Myrtle Beach, and say I find a double wide somewhere in Myrtle Beach that I want to relocate to somewhere else in Myrtle Beach or surrounding area, say within a 30-mile radius. How would I know, how to go into that or approach that?
Yeah, you call me. No, I'm just kidding. You can call me. It's fine. I'll help anybody. But there are pretty standard pricings when it comes to this. But before we get into pricing, we got to go like back to the beginning of like, okay, you want to move a mobile home. First, you need to see if your lot is zoned for it. And most counties here will require you to have utilities prior to them issuing a permit. Mm-hmm. You also need the title to the home. Counties will not issue you a moving permit unless you have the title to the home. So some investors that are getting in early on will say, yeah, I'll buy this with a bill of sale. Sure, I'll get it moved off. Well, when the time's to get it moved off, one of two things is going to happen. One, they're not going to be able to move it because they don't have the title, in which case they can't get the moving permit. Or two, a mover is going to come along that they call and say, yeah, I can move it. It's the mover's job to get the permit. However, a lot of them don't. So that home that's on that piece of land that you bought it from, that you want now to move to a different piece of land, if this mover illegally moves it without a permit, the county still thinks that home is there. So that person who owns that land is going to be taxed as if that home is there. Also, if the seller is trying to build something on property, and the mobile home has been moved, but a permit hasn't been pulled, it will delay their building. So we've had that happen a few times. The mover moves it off without a permit, and now the seller who wants to build a home on that property is not screwed, but delayed. Okay, going into how you choose your mover. You can always, this isn't a joke, you can call me and I can give you some reputable movers. The biggest thing I would say is Facebook is usually actually pretty good so you want to see the people that are putting themselves out there, because those are usually the people that are not afraid of they're doing things right? They usually have insurance. They're usually licensed. They're advertising themselves. It's the people that you kind of never heard of, and they're like, oh, my cousin can move it. He's been doing this for a while. And you call him up and he's like, yeah, I can do it. $1,200. $1,200 is way too low. If you're looking at a single wide, and let's just say you're moving at point A to point B is 30 miles, you're probably looking at anywhere from 3,500 to 5,000. If it's a double wide, you're going to double it. So you always look out for the super low prices, because somebody wants the work. And then the other thing is, you can go on to South Carolina LLR, the licensing board, and you can ask them what their license number is. If they're an installer, right? If transportation only, gets a little bit trickier, because you don't really need a license to transport a wide load, but you do need a license to install in South Carolina. So go onto the licensing board, you can type in their name or ask them what their licensing number is, and just make sure they're licensed. And if they are licensed, good. And if they mess up, you can actually report them to the licensing board through the reporting portal.
Nice.
Awesome. So what kind of, you were saying there's a lot of people, there's scams, I guess, that are out there. What are things like that to look out for?
Yeah. So most people will see this as a scam, but most movers collect half down right up front to get the work started. That's kind of universal, because movers get burned too. It's not just them burning other people. I feel like it kind of makes them crusty. But what happens in this scam scenario is you contact a mobile home mover. They say, yes, I can move it. I need $6,000 down in order to start work, and we'll move it by X date. Well, you pay the $6,000 and that date passes. And you call them and they're like, oh, yeah, sorry, my truck broke down. Okay, well, when are you going to be out here? We'll be out here in 3 days. Okay, 3 days comes. Call them again. Where are you? Yeah, we're on a job and we couldn't get to it. Okay, when are you going to be here? We'll be there tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. And they're not there. So it's just kind of like a cascading effect where they keep on delaying. And then eventually you won't be able to reach them because they've either blocked you, got a different phone number, or they're just not answering your calls. They're purposely ignoring you. I only give them one chance. I expect people to be where they are, where they say they will be when they said they will be there. If I know the person and I expect them to communicate with me hey, I'm going to be late, or I can't do it this week because I've got something else going on, that's fine as long as they're being proactive. But if they're missing deadlines and multiple deadlines, you're probably being scammed.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of understand the broker side of the house, but let's say you got a lead that comes in for, I don't know, 1987 single wide mobile home, and they say, hey, we need to get this sold. Maybe somebody died and the mobile home transferred to theirs. What does that look like? What would that process be? And how do you make money as an investor on that?
I'm going to let Josh take this one.
Yeah. So the short answer is I I get in the Toyota Corolla and go out and look at it in person. Dakota and I will get anywhere from probably 5 to 10 phone calls per day. Most of those are going to be leads coming in, and we have a very boiled down list of questions that we're going to be asking these people when they when they call us. The biggest one is we want to find out, firstly, if the seller actually has the title to the home. If they do, that's great. The process will be pretty straightforward. If not, we're going to figure out why. Like, do they still have a mortgage on that home? How much do they owe? The questions similar to those. And then, we'll kind of go through just trying to find out like the condition of the property, if there's any major repairs that need to be made, if they're currently living in the home, or if they're not living in the home, how long has it been sitting vacant for? Another huge piece for us is we want to figure out if they actually own the land or not. A lot of times, if they own the land themselves, it'll just be a much more simple, kind of straightforward process. So, for example, if they don't own the land, and they're leasing the land from someone else, that will just add a whole nother step into our process. So we'll have to get a hold of the actual landowner and figure out, like when do they need this home moved by? Is there any specific reasoning that they want it off the property? Is there any chance they would be open to, having the home actually stay there? Like if we're able to, fix it up and basically swap out the existing owner with a new tenant that they approve of. So we're just, kind of have a list of questions that we'll figure out their asking price. And then really the next step is we want to get out there in person and look at it, do like a basic walkthrough, see if there's any soft spots in the floors, if there's any leaks in the roof that the seller maybe forgot to mention on our initial discovery phone call. And then, and really I would say Dakota and I are similar in this sense, but I think we both do a really good job on the phone. But where Dakota and I also, get a lot of our business and repeat business from is just kind of how we treat people in person. And we're never in a rush with these people. Like I think what separates Dakota and I apart from all the other mobile home investment companies out there is we actually care about them, and we take time to listen to them and kind of empathize with what they're going through, because, a lot of these people are going through a tough time. Maybe their mother passed, right? And she was living in this old kind of beaten down single wide. And, they're just like, they're frankly, a lot of these people that we're dealing with are grieving. And I think that there's a lot of companies that will just go out there and kind of, they'll treat these people like a transaction or like a number. Whereas Dakota and I will look at them like, they're human beings, which is what they are. And I think that's why Dakota and I have seen, a good amount of success and are continuing to grow and scale this business year after year.
Awesome.
So on your website, are you going to have a place where people can actually list their mobile homes for sale, and then you guys maybe come in as the broker in order to arrange for moving it or taking a piece of it, kind of wedge yourself in between there?
Yeah, so that's when you asked me what the plan was, if for the investment side, like are we nationwide or are we only in South Carolina? That is after this brokerage is set up, that's the goal. Not necessarily like that won't be for bringing in seller leads. That will just be a platform similar to Zillow, but for mobile homes.
Mm-hmm.
So would you guys be able to pre-negotiate possibly with the sellers on a purchase price? And then, if somebody does come along and buys it, you just kind of increase the price on the back end and then arrange for it to be set up wherever their location is, or possibly, even on the other side, having people that have mobile home park land that may be looking for people to come in and fill those sites.
Yeah. So when you start getting out of state, when you can't see it in person, it gets kind of squirrely. So I like, we will, there should be two options, right? So you can have somebody either list their home on your platform or you can consign it. Consignment's a big tool Josh and I use for these homes because they're personal property. It's not real estate, so we can like sell sell a car for a friend. Essentially, that's what it is. Um, when you start going nationwide and people are coming to your site to like list their home, if you have like a $5 fee to like list, it kind of you don't really need the big deals at that point because you're having people come to you to list it and you're just charging a small fee, and those small fees add up, and at a certain point it's like, is every single deal out there worth it for me to have the headache to deal with every property owner that wants the mobile home moved off but it's not moved off yet? So it's really an economy of scales, where it's like I can either have a few very large ones that I am going to have some headaches with, or a lot of really small ones where I don't have to do anything with it and just charge a listing fee.
Brilliant. It's brilliant because you're right. There's really no play. If I want to buy a mobile home used and just to put it somewhere, there's really no great place for me to go find that. I'm searching Facebook ads, So
Yeah.
I mean,
Myself.
having a for sale by owner type website that's basically mobile homes would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's in the cards. But one of the things that when you have a full-time job, you have to focus on one thing at a time, and I don't know if it's like that for people without full-time jobs, but for me at least, it's like I can't spread myself too thin because you still have to take care of the family, spend time with the family.
Yeah. No, I think it applies in being an entrepreneur as well. Yeah, you get less accomplished the more scattered you are. You definitely have to be laser focused on one or two items at a time.
Yeah.
It's also the quality you put out too. If you're focused on 100 things, none of them will be anything of quality.
Yeah.
So I do have one question for you. Could you guys kind of talk us through maybe a recent scenario or maybe something that really stuck in your head, some specific situation that really just, it was very important to you, it meant a lot, or had a major impact in how you do business?
Yeah. I mean, for me, and I think I wrote this in, kind of my answering the prompts earlier, but about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Dakota and I, we got a lead in, came in on, Monday night. It was a family that had a single wide mobile home in a park down in Beaufort. It's a husband, wife, and they have like a 4-month-old baby with them, and they're kind of in a desperate situation to, they're wanting to relocate. They kind of need the money fast, and we get that lead in on a Monday night. Next day, Tuesday, we're up there looking at the home, checking it out. We agree on a price that's fair for them, something that they're happy with, and they'll be able to take and kind of put towards their move and taking care of their baby. So we purchased that home, and we're actually able to find a buyer. And the buyer happened to be a family that already lived in that same park, and they were wanting to purchase another home so that more of their family members could live close to them. And that's great for us. That's great for the park and the park manager as well, because the people that we sold it to, they've been living in that community for multiple years now. They're great tenants, great residents. They pay their monthly lot rent every month on time, and just good people. So that was a scenario that Dakota and I had where we were really able to help everyone, the buyer, the seller, and the park itself. And, it's always really nice whenever you have a deal that goes that well, and we're able to kind of, put our name out there and develop a good relationship with the park and the manager, and hopefully do a lot more business with them in the future. So that one was just really cool and meant a lot to me.
So, based on that, and you're saying there was kind of urgency there, do you guys find people that say, or do you have people that contact you? Maybe they're getting evicted from the parks within a certain period, like a short period of time, and they don't want to lose their mobile home, or they want to sell the mobile home, but they don't know what to do because they have to be out of the park in a week.
Yeah, we get those quite often, and there's sorry, what's up, buddy? There's one of two things that happens. We end up purchasing the home, but before you purchase it, we always have to talk to the park. So there are parks out there that are not friendly towards investors. So you really have to talk to the park management prior to buying the home. Because if you buy the home, they can just evict you. Like, there's nothing stopping you. The process for buying a home in a mobile home park is call the park, tell them there's a home for sale, ask them if they're willing to work with investors. If they're willing to work with investors, then
No, I'm seeing the data.
1 second. Josh, can you finish out that thought?
Yeah.
Can you finish up?
So basically what Dakota's saying is, when someone's being evicted, from a mobile home community, for example, we want to listen to their side and kind of, get their take, but we need to speak to the people that are in charge, the people that are kind of laying down the law, and figure out, what's going on. Why do they want these people out? How behind are they on lot rent? And basically just try and figure out if they'll be willing to work with us as investors, if we catch up all of the late fees, potentially make any repairs to the home that need to be done, and then, do our best to bring in tenants that will be approved by the park's screening system.
Maybe I don't understand. What would be the hesitation of a park to work with an investor? I mean, it sounds like they're going to get the money of the road. They're going to get their lot rent from now on. What would be that sticking point? Has anyone ever told you what the objection might be?
So
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
No, I mean, I think we were probably both going to say the same thing, but at this point, I think a lot of the parks have figured out, instead of letting an investor from the outside kind of swoop in and, buy the home for cheap and then resell it, these parks figured out they can do the same thing. So Dakota and I have had deals in the past that have fallen through just because, the parks were we were competing with the park to buy the home and resell it. And that's, it's just an uphill battle, especially when the parks have all the leverage. And, a lot of them are great people, just fair, honest people. But just like anything else, it's a business for them, and they're trying to make money as well. And they've definitely figured that out.
Yeah, they hold a lot of the cards in that situation. I've seen in other situations, like I've dealt with a few other investors that deal with mobile home parks and buying them in mobile home parks. And they all tend to see that only certain park owners will work with them. Certain ones will not in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Tends to be the ones that have had the parks for a really long time. A lot of times they're not interested in doing it anymore, or they're not wanting to put in the effort, and they're willing to say, okay, well, you can flip it and then we'll get back on track. Where other ones that are hungry, they'll eat them up themselves. They kind of hold all the cards though. They've got the mobile home on their land. It's already set up. They've had the relationship built. Sometimes they'll even have it in their contract that they get first right of refusal to be able to purchase that piece.
Mhm.
Is that part? That's what I was going to ask. Like, what kind of regulatory laws are that, especially like in South Carolina? Like, obviously, does a landlord have to go through an eviction process? Like, say, if I had a townhouse that I was renting out to somebody and they didn't pay rent, I want to go through eviction. Is it the same process with a mobile home in order for an eviction? And what happens if they don't move out by then? Where's the landlord stand on that? What kind of rights do they have or not have?
Yeah, so we're actually going through this right now in one of my parks. But if you're evicting somebody, you own the land, but they own the home. You're evicting the mobile home. You're not evicting. Well, you are evicting the person too, but their property has to go with them. I believe there's like a 20-day rule where like the person has 20 days to move the home or sell it. Post eviction, right? So they can't live there anymore, but they still have the right to sell it or move it. So the court gives them time. What we see most of the time is either the park buys it or an investor will buy it. There are parks that will do business with investors, especially if you approach them with the line. I approach them with the line, "Hey, I'm an investor. I got a lead out of your park. I don't buy homes in parks where I don't talk to management because I don't want any trouble." So you just be upfront with them. A lot of them are very accepting of that. What you see is most corporate offices do not allow investors. So like yes communities, they don't like investors. So we just stay out of yes communities. Also, we have a manager that we work with sometimes in a yes community, but she had let us know that yes communities had come up with a rule now where instead of just getting a commission on the homes that are new homes being sold in the park, they can now get a commission on helping the people in the park sell their homes if they're being evicted or if they have to leave. So now they've just closed the loop. So now investors are completely out.
What is a yes community?
Yes Community is a really, really large mobile home park owner. I believe they're based out of Singapore, I want to say. But yeah, they own a ton of mobile home parks. If you just type in Yes Community, they're all over the place.
It sounds a whole lot like an HOA to me.
Yeah.
I think a potential rebrand for them is they could probably do pretty well as a no community as well. So we'll have to see.
Awesome. Well, we're getting to the portion. We have a portion of our show that we call Deeper Talk with the Sheik. It's Steven's little portion of the show, and I'll let him explain it to you guys, but we have a little fun for this one.
And what do you think? Should we do 2 today?
Sure.
So, guys, Dakota, Josh, we have a little thing. It's called icebreakers. It's a and this kind of lets us get to know you a little bit better. Gives us some interesting talking points to be able to kind of go into. Some of these are, kind of get smart with it. So, it's got a few different categories. And I'll ask you. We'll spin a wheel. Is that wheel available? I guess.
Yes,
And
the wheel is available.
so we'll spin a wheel. I guess if we're going to do 2, we can. Josh, if you want to go first, we're going to spin the wheel and we're going to give you a category, and I'll pick a question out here. It's a whole bunch of different questions in here.
Sweet.
So,
all right. Can you see it, Steven?
It says exposed. Green. So, in the exposed category, we have ourselves a question. It says, what's a deal breaker for you in a relationship, be it business, which could be good for Dakota to know, or personal?
I guess I'm initially just kind of chuckling because you're asking a deal breaker in a relationship for a guy who's been single for going on 6 years now. So that was amusing for me.
That deal has been broke.
Yeah, I think as far as greed goes, I feel like Dakota and I generally we're on the same page. We see things, eye to eye, and him and I mean, maybe he would tell you different, but greed is something that I feel like I feel pretty strongly about, reading books like The Go-Giver. I'm not sure if you guys have read it, but I feel like that's one of the first things like I notice about someone, whether it be in my personal life or, in business. And it's just, and people can try to hide it and try to portray themselves as someone who's, not greedy, but I feel like it shines through so evidently. And, I was raised to, basically just give the shirt off my back to someone who needs it. Just as a man, but also as a Christian as well. And I think how you treat people just speaks volumes about you. And it's a lot of times it's not your words, but it's, it's your actions. And so the more selfless I can be, or the more selfless, one of my partners, whether it be business or relationship is, I mean, that's, I'm all for it. So.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
Awesome.
Good thing for Dakota to know. He's obviously proven himself over the years that you've been together to be a selfless person, also. So,
for sure.
All right, let's see.
Dakota, we're going to spin the wheel for you, bud.
All right, let's go.
See if we get a new color.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Sorry, window.
I think that's this darker blue right here. It is. So in self-awareness category, we have ourselves, in what ways are you like your parents? And here we are seeing your kid today too. So that's kind of a good thing.
Like my dad, I am very forgetful. Yeah, I have to write everything down. I have to send calendar invites for everything. I live and die by my calendar. But I wish, I think that's probably it. It's not a very deep thought. Sorry. If you asked me if we landed on the dreams category, I had a really weird dream last night.
You have vivid dreams often.
Not often. It was, yeah.
I do find it interesting that when you were talking about, whether or not somebody's on the level, whether or not they do what they're supposed to do, you brought up the fact that if they're communicating and they're where they are when they're supposed to be there, when they said they were going to be there, that is like a sign of being reputable to you. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
That your weakness, the one that you're overcoming, is the opposite of that.
Yeah, it's very true. But that's why I keep a calendar.
What about your mom? How are you like your mom?
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm not like my mom because that sounds like pretty disingenuous. She's a very sweet lady. My mom has a very, very big heart, and she would, like Josh said, she would do anything for anybody. I think where Josh and I really get along is our I feel like we're both pretty mellow. We never and we're both giving people. I always tell anybody that wants to get into this industry, I'm not worried about competition because you can always partner with somebody, especially if they're a good person. I'll tell anybody anything they want to know. I'm not really worried about them taking my business or I'm taking their business. It's I think the more you give, the more you'll receive. And I think I get that from my mom as well.
Nice.
That's a beautiful thing you see him that way. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on here today. Where do you guys see your focus is over the next, I would say, 90 days within your business?
So on the brokerage side, our system should be up and running in February, and like we can actually start mass quoting people or mass. So like we need to essentially oil that machine. Like that's going to be the next 90 days, mid-February. Josh will still probably be focusing on the investment side very heavily while I smooth out the brokerage end. But over the next 90 days, quoting people, onboarding movers to our brokerage, and then on the flip side, interviewing brokers. So people that have been in the brokerage industry, so we don't have to be talking to somebody in Washington, whereas we can have somebody in Washington State who knows the laws and just collect a fee from them. So maybe it's like a 60-40 split in their favor. But they take all the leads that come in, like the Pacific Northwest. We got somebody else on the East Coast. Josh and I take Southwest. But just kind of making connections out that way. But finding the right people is key. Like you don't want just any like I said before, any Joe Schmo working for your company.
Yeah. Awesome. So I guess where can people keep up with you guys, figure out when you're online, ready to go with that? What's the domains and best ways to get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, phone number is right there. That's the Holy City Mobile Homes phone number. Josh and I will answer it if either Josh or I will answer it. That's the best way. Text. You can email me at contact@holycitymobilehomes.com. Josh is, I think it's just Josh at holycitymobilehomes.com, right, Josh?
Yep.
Yeah. You can email us, text us, call us, whatever you want advice, we'll give it to you.
All right, awesome. And then the website, of course, is holycitymobilehomes.com.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, did anybody else have anything else before we wrap it up, guys?
I mean, you did mention that you have a mobile home park, but I think we have to do a whole nother episode on that later on if we want to talk about mobile home parks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a hoot.
Yeah.
Well, Dakota and Josh, thanks again for joining us today. We really enjoyed talking to you guys, finding out more about what you do, and I'm excited to see how this business takes off over the next few years. It sounds like it's really set up to scale and grow, so it's going to be awesome. If you guys haven't yet, like or subscribe and share this video, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks for coming out and checking us out, and thanks again, Dakota and Josh, for joining us.
Thank you, sir.